Let's start with Celine this time. Number 7. Can you tell me what x will be? Well, this side is 6 because it's the other congruent leg. Exactly. This is going to be root 2 times one of the congruent legs. 45, 45, 90s are beautiful in their simplicity and also in their ubiquity.
Their what?
What does that mean?
Sameness?
It's more of prevalence or how commonplace they are. Like when something is ubiquitous, that means it's common. So 45, 45, 90s show up a lot because there's many situations in which you have a right angle like this in a square type situation, and you are cutting the square in half along its diagonal. And that diagonal is always going to be root 2 times one of the sides of the square. Allie, number 8, x will be? Thank you for your honesty. So, check it out. You have an isosceles triangle. So, I know that because I have 2 congruent angles and one angle that's not congruent to either of those. So what you know from that is that the sides opposite those congruent angles will also be congruent. So this is also 2. And then now use your knowledge of 45, 45, 90 triangles to determine what the hypotenuse will be based on knowledge of one of the side lengths. That's it. It's just the square root of 2 times one of those congruent legs. 2 root 2. Okay. Next up, Dan, number 9. Very good. So he noticed that the hypotenuse was 2 radical 2. And I assume he used his knowledge of 45, 45, 90s in the sense of the hypotenuse is the square root of 2 times one of the congruent legs. Therefore, one of the congruent legs must be 2. Or both of them are. Okay. Yunjae, number 10. Yes. 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 You want to figure out what you can multiply x by to get to 13 root 2. And you also know that this side is going to be root 2 times this side. So the remaining variable, so to speak, is this 13. You could also think of this as being x root 2. And then you can divide both sides by root 2, and you're left with 13. Nikia, number 11. X equals 2? I disagree with that statement. I agree with that statement. Okay. Sue, in number 12, do we have enough information to conclude that this is a 45, 45, 90? Yes, and why? Yes, the angles have the same degrees. The sum of them must be 90. Why do you know that? A triangle has 180 degrees, and what do you know about the angle that's given? It's 90 degrees. Therefore, the other 2 angles must add up to 90 degrees. And since they're the same, they both must be 45 degrees. Not all isosceles triangles are 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. Keep that in mind. Nikki B, 13, do we have enough information to conclude that it's a 45, 45, 90?
Yeah, but you can't really assume that x is 90 because there's no box. So you would have to do 45 plus 45, which is 90. And then 2 minus 90 is 90.
Good. Yep. So even though there's no right angle symbol here, you can still apply your knowledge of triangles and that the sum has to be 180 of the angles. So these two angles add up to 90, therefore this one has to be 90, because 180 minus 90 is 90. And because of that, just as an aside, this side and this side are congruent. That whole if sides then angles thing you might have heard. Nice. Terry, number 14, do we have enough info?
Yes.
And why? There's a 90-degree angle, and a 45-degree angle. Exactly. Exactly. That's something that you learn in geometry usually. Deductive proof. Which is about slowing down and making sure that you know that something is whatever you believe it is. Do you have a basis for it? Great. Number 15. So let's apply our knowledge of 45, 45, 90s. This is for Nick. We have a triangular vegetable garden. We want to fence it. We have to figure out how much fencing we need. So tell me how you approach this one. Mm-hmm. Very good. The hypotenuse is 10 root 2. Exactly. We're looking for the perimeter here because we want to put fencing around. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 root 2.
So you get 20 plus 14 root
20 plus 10 root 2.
1. 10 root 2 is 14.
Yes. Very good. Units? Yep. Yes, Gabe.
Could you also do this by using the Pythagorean theorem?
Yes, you could.
It would work the same.
It would work the same.
Square root of 200 is 10 root 2.
The square root of 200
Is 10 root 2.
is 10 root 2. Correct. Yep. 34.1 feet of fencing are needed. I like to write my answers to word problems as a complete sentence. It helps me to make sure that I'm answering the question that's posed and that my answer makes sense. Great. Now on to the 30, 60, 90 section. Jessica, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is how many times as long as the shorter leg? 2 times. For number 4, it's 10. I agree with you. Yeah. Gabe, number 2, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, how many times longer than the shorter leg is the longer leg? Meaning the intermediate leg.
So, root 3 times longer.
Yes. Root 3 is about 1.7 for your information.
2.17.
1.7. That means the intermediate side is 170% of the shortest side, or 70% more. Good. Nikki S., in your own words, what's the 30, 60, 90 triangle theorem, or what do you think it is? Can you try it in words? So I'll start you off. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the longest side is... Well, that's true, but let's assume that we know that already. Tell me what it is in relation to the shortest side. Well, it is across on the 30. That is true. But I'm assuming that we know that already. So, again, you can look at the diagram. It's fine. So let's try again. The longest side in a 30, 60, 90 triangle is what in relation to the shortest side? And I'm talking about the length of it. It's 2 times. Yeah, than the shortest side. Okay? And a 30, 60, 90, the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shortest side. And that's the side opposite 30. Because 30 is the shortest or smallest angle. And the intermediate side, meaning the one in the middle, is the square root of 3 times the length of the shortest side. And there's, of course, other ways that you could word that. You could say in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the sides come in the ratio x to x root 3 to 2x. Good. Next up, Val. Number 4, the length of the hypotenuse. Yes. This is 10 because it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and the hypotenuse is going to be 2 times the shortest side. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Dominique, number 5. Yep. For the same reason. Julia, number 6. X equals 16. Same reason. Just double the shortest side and you get the hypotenuse. Jen, number 7. What do you think? Watch this. Watch how easy this is. Notice that 7 is the shortest side. In a 30, 60, 90, the intermediate side, the middle one, the one that's opposite 60, is always going to be the square root of 3 times the shortest side. Therefore, this side is okay. I tried. I'll come back to you. Brett, let's do number 8. What do you think x is? 10 root 3. Okay, it's just the square root of 3 times the shortest side. Do you want to try again? No. Okay. Amber, number 9.
Okay, so I just did 3 root 3 times root 3, which is 3 root 9, so that's just 3 times 3, which is 9.
Yep. Do not be misled by the fact that the square root of 3 is opposite the 30-degree angle in this one. It's a 30, 60, 90 triangle, therefore the intermediate side is going to be the square root of 3 times whatever the shorter side is. And then root 3 times itself is just 3. Therefore, x equals 9. Okay? Celine, number 8. It is not. So you
asked for number 8.
I asked for number 8?
Yeah.
I apologize. So you were correct for number 8. I meant number 10. 4. And how did you get that? It's just half of the longest side. Good. Dan, number 11. 9 and why?
Because,
The longer leg
yeah, longer leg
It-
is just take out radical.
is 9 radical 3, and since that's going to be the shorter leg times radical 3, we just remove the radical 3, and that tells us what the shorter leg is. Okay. Allie, number 12.
Am I finding 10?
Yes.
Wait, is 6 root 3 the long leg or the other short leg? The hypotenuse or the short leg?
Is 6 root 3 the long leg?
The hypotenuse or the short leg?
Where do you see 6 root 3?
I don't know, it's not, I don't know. 6.
Let's break it down. All tasks are manageable when broken down into small units. This side, what is it opposite of? No. It's opposite 60 degrees. Do you see that? Like, I get why you said that, but I meant what angle is it opposite of? So tell me what you know about sides opposite 60-degree angles in 30, 60, 90 triangles.
Maybe it's somehow.
Absolutely. Check it. In a 30, 60, 90, your smallest side, just make it a variable. Your intermediate side is going to be that variable times the square root of 3. Yes?
Yeah.
Yep. And then the longest side is going to be double that variable. So in number 12, we know that the intermediate side, the side opposite of 60, is 6. So x root 3 is going to be 6. Are you following?
No.
Okay, tell me where I lost you.
I don't know what. Is that the same thing you drew?
I redrew number 12, kind of. So the side opposite the 60-degree angle is 6. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that's going to be root 3 times the shorter leg. And that's what we're trying to find. So you can set up an equation. X root 3 equals 6. Now you tell me, how would you solve that for x? Watch this. How would you get x by itself? How could you get rid of that root 3? I would divide. Since root 3 is being multiplied by it, the inverse is division. Does that make sense? So you have those cancel, and you have x equals 6 divided by the square root of 3. Are you still with me? Okay. This is technically correct, but it doesn't follow a certain rule of etiquette we have in algebra. And that is, don't leave radicals in denominators. Do you know how to get rid of the radical in the denominator?
Oh yeah, multiply it at the top. And
Very good. So tell me what you get after doing that.
6 root 3 over.
Yep. And then that simplifies to? Dan, I'd appreciate being silent. Thanks.
2 and just divide 3.
Yeah, because 6 divided by 3 is 2.
Not x.
That's x, right? Okay? Do we have agreement that x equals 2 radical 3?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Let it marinate. Come back to it again. Oftentimes, understanding just happens naturally later. If you still don't get it after... Dan, help me find the value of x in number 13. It is 8, and how did you get that? Exactly. In a 30, 60, 90, the hypotenuse is double the shortest side. And Yunjay, number 14, the value of x. The 30 side is the square root of 3. I'm sorry, I'm not following you. The 30 side? The square and the 30? My apologies, I'm still not following you. I am.
He's saying that side.
This side?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is something times the square root of 3. Okay? I think I'm following you.
The other side, which is the square and the 16 side.
This side.
Or at least proportion is
Okay. So could you help me solve it algebraically?
say 5.
It says 5.
And then the other side where I said it's like the square root of 3 would be 5 and square root.
Agreed. Nakia. 15. 6? Agreed. Half of the longest side. Next, Sue. Instead of a triangular garden, we now have a triangular jogging path. We have to make some sharp turns. We are told the length of the AB side. It's 2 miles. And we want to find the other 2. This is one of the things that's sweet about 45, 45, 90s and 30, 60, 90s. You only need one side. This is not true for other types of triangles, other types of right triangles. So, Sue, let's start with side BC. How could you find that? Okay, please answer my question. How could you find that? Thank you. AB divided by 2? Yep. Because in a 30, 60, 90, the shortest side is always half of the longest side. Okay, and then Sue, how about side AC? Very good. It's BC times the square root of 3, because it's the intermediate side, the side opposite of 60 degrees. So this is the square root of 3 miles, or about 1.7 miles. So see, you didn't even need one other side. So it's about 1.7. Good. And Nikki B, help us find the length of the jogging path altogether. That is correct.
So do 2 plus 1 plus radical 3.
Good.
Would it be easier to just do plus 1.7?
Yes, in this context, yes.
So then it would be 4.7 approximately.
Very good. Any questions on that?